Hey guys, this is the third part of my Goblin tutorial. You can find the links to the original concept and to the other tutorials in the description. Make sure to check them out if you haven't seen them yet. Here you can see the final topology that I exported from Maya. I just added some missing edge loops and added the missing toes and fingers. I did the UVs in Maya as well, which you can see right here. Now I push and pull the low poly model in place so it matches the high poly sculpt more or less. Then I divide the low poly, hide all my other subtools so that only my low poly and high poly models are visible. And then I go into the subtool menu under the project tab and click project all. Then I subdivide to the next subdivision level and click the project all button again. I do this multiple times until I have all the details from my original sculpt projected onto my new topology. After some final cleanup work and dividing the mesh into multiple polygroups, I start to work on the bigger wrinkles. For that I use the madcap gray because it's easier for me to see what I'm sculpting. My focus in this phase is to get the big wrinkles in the joint areas and where the skin is stretched or compressed in general. For that I use the standard brush most of the time with the focal length set to around -40. And with a medium intensity. I make sure to have all the work I do at that point in layers so I can work a bit less destructive, and I always have the option to go back to the clean sculpt and to increase or lower the intensity of the layers. What I do for the wrinkles is to draw soft lines with the standard brush, and then I use the smooth brush to soften the stroke where I want them to be less visible. And I also use the standard brush to break up the smooth surfaces to get a more organic look. For sharper wrinkles, I use the damp standard brush as well. Here I bring the shapes of the mouth to a more final level, and I also clean up the teeth as well. Here I use the standard brush with the spray option turned on, and the intensity is set to a really low value. With that brush I go around the head to break up the smooth surface to make it look more organic. For the skin pores I use the noise option in the surface menu, and I play around with the scale and intensity for the basic noise. And after I applied it, I use the noise plugin and play around with the different options in there to get more variety in the noise. After that I go around the model with the damp standard brush to get finer wrinkles. I hided the noise layer for that, but it wasn't really necessary, so I did another pass with the damp standard brush where the noise layers were visible. So now it's just going around the model to put fine wrinkles in places where the skin is moved a lot. At this step it's really important to define the direction of the wrinkles in the certain areas. When the wrinkles are too chaotic, it quickly looks really fake and unnatural, so I always have a clear direction. Sometimes I go over the wrinkles with a standard brush again to give it more volume, like in the elbow area. Make sure to look at references or look at your own body to get the patterns right for the wrinkles. Like in this case, I looked a lot at my own hand to see how the wrinkles look around the knuckles. And I repeat the same process on the other joint areas as well. I spoke in my first head tutorial about breaking up the symmetry in organic forms, and I don't do this with this model yet because I'm going to rig it. And I don't want to rig the Goblin asymmetrical, especially not the face. So once the model is rigged, I will sculpt the face and body slightly asymmetrical and apply the result as a blend shape to the rigged model. This way I saved myself a ton of work. If I would sculpt the model to leave it as a sculpt, where I wouldn't need to worry about rigging and even topology, I would have sculpted the Goblin asymmetrical much earlier. But since the design is almost completely symmetrical as well, there is no need to make it more complicated in the rigging process by sculpting it asymmetrical early on. I didn't use any alphas for the skin details, but if I wanted to have really realistic skin pores and wrinkles, I would have used some. There is a company called Texture XYZ, which sells really high quality skin displacement maps, and I saw really amazing results with these textures, and I want to try them out in the future as well. But for this model, I wanted to keep it straightforward. Also take into consideration from which distance your model will be looked at. Most of the time it's not really necessary to put extremely fine details on your model, especially in areas that the viewer don't give much attention to. If you're working on an animation and you know that you will have a close-up of the feet, then detail them a bit more, and if you have a close-up of the hands, then put more details there as well. But if you will only see the character from a distance, then you don't need those details at all. So it's really helpful to know what purpose the model will have in the later stages. So this is the final sculpt, and the next step is to do the textures. I hope you liked and maybe even learned something from this video, and thanks a lot for watching. See you guys in the next part. Bye.